Hi everyone, thank you for joining. My name is Céline Bücher and together with Stefan Schlag-Leon-Biro, we will give you an overview of the battery raw material markets. Battery raw materials have come in the center of interest with the rapid transformation away from combustion engines towards electromobility. A few days ago, an unusual recommendation was made by the International Energy Agency. Governments should consider stockpiling battery metals. Why such recommendation? What is going on here? Stefan and I both work for IHS Markit, and we are responsible for research of battery raw material markets. IHS Markit is a leading provider of information, and we are about 15,000 professionals serving 50,000 key customers in more than 140 countries, including 80% of the Fortune Global 500. This allows us to provide unparalleled breadth and depth of analytics and expertise. As an example, our battery raw material research is based on insights from automotive, energy, and technology. This interaction of industry expertise is a good example on our unique capabilities to help decision makers apply higher level thinking to daily tasks and strategic issues across a host of industries, such as economics and chemical. These days, probably many of us are being surprised by announcement of automotive companies on the speed of their conversion to electromobility. For many years, sales of electric cars remained low, and the share of electric vehicles in the overall car fleet was insignificant. The slow start was all about the battery. Its cost was too high and the electric cars were unaffordable. Its energy density was too low, meaning the range an electric car can drive on a single charging cycle was not sufficient. The charging times were too slow, which made electric cars unpractical for daily use. Battery technology made tremendous progress in all aspects in recent years, and the switch to electromobility is happening. Today we want to look at the ongoing evolution of electric vehicle batteries with a focus on battery raw materials. The market environment of electric car batteries is very dynamic in many aspects. First, the market is growing rapidly, having double-digit annual growth rates. Second, battery technology has developed rapidly in the past years, and it's clear that technology will undergo rapid changes in the next years. As electromobility is replacing combustion engines, the variety of electric cars is increasing from small and economic cars to high-performing and expensive cars, with largely different battery requirements. Finally, we like to address the characteristics of Cobalt and Lithium markets. Battery capacity is expected to more than quintuple from now to 2030. The by far largest portion of battery use is expected for electric cars, shown in the green bar. But also use in grid storage will have a significant growth as highlighted in the blue bar. Without going into details, the graph shows you the changes in battery technology for electric vehicles in the period 2015 to 2030. Different technologies are represented by different colors, and you can see that within this short period of 15 years, the technology changes completely. Technology that did not exist in 2015 will dominate in 2030, whereas the technology that are common at the moment will only play a marginal role in less than 10 years from now on. The main goals of continuing development of batteries are to decrease cost and increase energy density. Energy density of the batteries in order to increase the range of mobility, and decrease cost, of course, to make electric cars competitive with combustion engines, without the subsidies by government that are helping at this early stage. Safety is another important issue to avoid batteries catching fire. Longer battery lifetime and faster charging time are also important customer needs. As the switch from conventional cars towards electric vehicles is ongoing, electric vehicles are no longer a niche product and must span the entire range of cars from cheap to expensive and from basic to powerful. Accordingly, there will be a wide range of different battery technologies powering these cars. For example, Tesla and Volkswagen have outlined at their battery and power day different segments of vehicles that they intend to produce in the future. With the described growth, the battery market is an attractive segment for the suppliers of the materials that are used to build a battery. But as just shown, it's also a challenging market that requires continuing adoption to the fast technology changes. The classical raw materials that are mostly associated with batteries are lithium, cobalt, nickel, manganese, and graphite. There are 4 themes and questions that characterize the market of this type of raw materials. First, the availability. Will there be enough raw materials? Second, reliability. What events could disrupt the supply chain? Third, costs. And the question that is closely related, how high could raw material prices climb in such an event? And the last one, reputation, and also important for an industry that builds on its sustainability technology. What are issues in the supply chain that could damage the brand? Stefan will answer this question based on cobalt and lithium. However, our IHS Markit battery material service covers also the other materials, such as, for instance, nickel. I hand over to Stefan. Thank you very much and bye.
Thank you, Celine. And now let's go on with some more details of these battery raw material markets. And to start with, looking at the battery boom and the raw material markets, the first question that we need to answer is the battery market at all relevant for this specific raw material market? Take the example of copper. A small amount of copper is used as an electrical conductor in these batteries, but copper consumption in batteries is negligible compared to the overall size of the copper market. The opposite situation is found for lithium and cobalt. Over half of all lithium and cobalt that is consumed globally is consumed in the battery market. And of course, the massive increase of battery production over the next years will bring current capacities to its limits. And when we speak about capacities, we need to look at the entire supply chain, starting from the mineral deposits in the earth crust or in the oceans to the actual mining capacities in those deposits to the processing capacities for the mined product all the way to the battery. Now, with view to the resources in the earth crust and in the oceans, we know they are sufficient for the foreseeable future. The same cannot be said for actual mining capacities of lithium and cobalt, and this is what is shown in the bar graphs in this slide. Current capacities are indicated with the green bar, and estimated future consumption is shown in the grey bars. And as you can see, that the supply gap narrows despite massive capacity additions over the next years. Second question around battery raw material markets is with view to the reliability of its supply chain, or what events could disrupt the supply chain. Now, the supply chain is usually more robust if there is a variety of different suppliers regionally, as well as in terms of the companies that supply that supply chain. And for lithium, this is the case. The supply chain is robust. Supply is coming from a variety of countries and companies. Now, in the case of cobalt, over half of the global mining capacities are located in one country, and that's the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this concentration poses a risk to the supply chain in the event of a disruption of such a portion of the raw material supply. Prices risk to increase by a manifold. And of course, such disruptions of the supply chain have an impact on the cost of these raw materials. And what is shown here in the graph is historical prices of cobalt for the period 1970 to 2010. And I'm showing you this graph to give you an idea of the range of prices that were paid for cobalt over the past 50 years. And to put these prices that you see here in a perspective, currently the ton of cobalt sells for about $45,000 US. So you can see that prices could triple depending on the market conditions. The peak around 1980 that you see here was mainly caused by a civil war in what was then called the country Zaire and what is now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo. Already at that time, the country was an important supplier of cobalt, and the disruption of demand was the main cause for this price spike that you see here. Fourth issue in the battery raw material supply chain is reputation, or put it as a question, what issues around raw materials pose a risk for the brand reputation? Now, the switch to electromobility is happening because of its environmental sustainability. And reputation of automotive brands risk to suffer significantly should raw materials be found to be environmentally or socially unsustainable. And concrete risks that have been identified so far in the cobalt value chain are the conditions of artisanal mining in the DRC, but also corrupt business practices. In the lithium value chain, it is water scarcity in the Atacama region of Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia, where lithium is being produced. Producers have to make sure those issues are resolved. With that, please let me summarize our key findings. The battery market is developing tremendously fast. Rapidly increasing volumes are a challenge for the supply chain to keep up with demand. Then, rapid technology changes create uncertainty around which raw materials will be used in future technologies. And finally, environmental, social, and governance aspects are crucial for an industry that is all about sustainability. And finally, if you would like to learn more about battery raw materials, we invite you to go to our homepage. We look at all key battery raw materials and provide detailed data sets regarding their supply, demand, trade, and prices with direct access to the team of analysts. Thank you very much.